Right, so my newest video is actually probably the most poorly aged thing ever, because a couple hours ago I posted a video that basically was me predicting what was going to be the next top one, and I said that I've always said that I think society will be verified first, but I think that finally with this doggy progress, that grief might actually be the one to get verified first, and so I changed my opinion. That was a terrible idea, because literally as I was about to sleep, right, it's like 2 a.m. for me right now, I get a bunch of pings saying that Popoff has verified society. And would you know, I look at his stream and he's actually verified it, right? The fact that something like this, that is this hard, is actually verified is crazy to me because, again, we're still in the era where nobody can beat the current top levels. Like, besides Zoink and Popoff, we haven't seen anyone beat Thinking Space 2. Now, it is to be noted, we have a couple people who've got very good progress on it. However, kind of like with Tidal Wave, it feels like we're not ready for these levels, and we're ready at the same time. It feels like the majority of people in the top player scene cannot beat these top ones. However, there is this, like, certain group of people in the community that are just pushing the game so far, and I just can't believe that people like Popoff even exist. But yeah, he actually got a new best. He beat his old best by 1% after this, right? And then he got the completion in the same stream. He had crazy consistency, and here's his reaction here. I'll be quiet a bit for this.
What? Bro! No way! What? W fans, oh my god, I did it. I'm a menace to society. Oh my god. What? Yo. Oh god, I just did it.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I'm pretty sure whoever else was in the room had more of a reaction than him. Now, again, it is clear that this is by far the loudest Popoff has ever reacted in a video. Well, actually, to be fair, I think his Tidal Wave video had a bigger reaction, but you can tell by how he's like clinging on to his heart and how he's getting up out of his chair and stuff that he does actually care about this. He just genuinely doesn't have that big of reactions. I know he said that he does tone down his reactions on purpose on, I think it was a podcast. However, like, it's still clear here that he cares, and this is just his genuine reaction. I was told that in this live stream he also got the whole level in one death and then beat it backwards and then got the verification, which just showed that, like, if you were in the stream, you would have known that he was going crazy, right? You would have known that this guy was going to verify this stream. Now, normally when a top level gets verified, I start talking about where it will place, but I don't really need to do that with this level. It's obvious that it is top 1. The question is, how much is it top 1 by, right? We know that this is going to be by far harder than Thinking Space 2. This is quite a decent leap. But when it comes to the actual demon list itself for the future, now that we have stuff like Grief, we have stuff like Heliopolis, we have stuff like Vehemence, Sweeping Demon 2 getting verified, then, that kind of throws a wrench in things. Like, how long is this level going to stay top 1? I think that it's easier than Grief, okay? But even if it is harder than Grief, I think that despite that, Grief will still place at 1. I think when Grief gets verified, we're going to have an immediate bias on its difficulty, and we're just going to put it top 1 no matter what the level is. I genuinely don't think it matters how hard a level gets verified. Like, I feel like Grief is going to end up being top 1. And I still do think it probably is above Society in difficulty anyways. I've always said that I think Society is one of the easier levels of the bunch. Sure, a lot of the wave gaps look absolutely horrid, but, looks can be pretty deceiving, and also the level is on the shorter end, so while it probably has some of the hardest clicks out of any of the levels, it kind of, gets a bit skewed because of how short it is. Levels like Vehemence and levels like Grief are super long, right? So it makes sense that those levels are probably going to be harder. And this has been a crazy day for the list anyways, because we've had a couple people make progress on Thinking Space 2 today. We had Manacle Chains place at 30 finally. We had some changes with Deimos. I believe it was below Chill, now it's been placed above. Recently, we also had Kill Stealer finally place at 14 on the list, which is around where I thought it would place. So yeah, the list is going through a new era, I think. I know a couple of these ones are older verifications, right? But still, I think we're entering a new era of difficulty, and we were kind of guessing what level would be the first to breach that, and it ends up Society was. Society is the level that is breaching the gap. If you want some idea from other groups of people on where they think that something like Society will place, then we can look at the efficient demon list. Now, I'm just gonna say, I don't agree with efficient demon placements whatsoever. I think a lot of them are really wrong. However, it gives us a look at what some other people think, and people think that it is above Grief and Heliopolis, but below stuff like Sweeping Demon 2 and Vehemence. And I can totally agree. This is 100% easier than Cosmos Unleashed and Vehemence, right? But I think you can actually make a debate whether this is harder or easier than stuff like Grief and Heliopolis, and even Sweeping Demon 2. Personally, I think a lot of people underrate Heliopolis. A lot of people are saying that Heliopolis is easier than Grief and Society. That's the main consensus. But honestly, I don't see how this is the case. I've never seen Zoink struggle this much on a level. I mean, obviously he has with stuff like Thinking Space too, but not for a decent while, and he's hit a new, like, skill peak, right? So I just don't think it matches. The progression to skill is not matching enough for Heliopolis to be at least below Society, right? I think that is harder than Society, and honestly, I do believe the Society is the easiest of these levels. However, that does not undermine at all. Society is a super incredible achievement. This is a new top 1. We got a new top 1. I feel like I'm not exaggerating this enough. We got a new top 1. Now, I will say, my reaction is a bit more quiet because it's like 2 a.m. I need to be quiet, right? But no, trust me, I am baffled that we actually got a top 1, and I really hope the Grief is harder. Not because I think it's harder, I mean I do, but it's not because of that, it's just because I really hope that Doggy's like multiple years of grinding doesn't go to waste. I really hope that Grief actually gets verified in this top 1. And this is also really interesting for Heliopolis, right? Because we know that this is getting buffed now. Mindcap said if another top 1 was getting verified and it got verified, then he would have to buff the level. And so we are probably going to see Heliopolis get buffed. In fact, I think the old version that Mindcap quickly reverted, where he made that video announcing he was buffing Heliopolis, is probably just going to be used now. I think that it didn't really have a reason to be used before, but now it probably does, so we're going to see the ending get a decent buff, and I do wonder how this is going to affect Zoink's consistency. He hasn't streamed it in 8 days, I do believe he's taking a bit of a break, but still, that is going to be really interesting to see. And I think if it does get buffed, I just don't see anyone other than Zoink being able to actually go for it. I also think it's really interesting to see where Wpopoff will go from this. Like, are we gonna see Wpopoff do much after Society? Because he really has 2 ways to go here. He could either take a well-deserved break, or he could use this chance to go on a demon spree on the list and maybe catch up to Zoink. And honestly, if Wpopoff does take that route and starts beating a bunch of other extremes, I am willing to say that Wpopoff is actually better than Zoink. I think that now, with this is probably the best case you can say for Wpopoff being above Zoink, and I think it's probably the closest it's been ever since the Amethyst and Thinking Space 2 verification. Here's his pass rates on the level. I believe this is for his session. I don't know if this is the entire time playing Society. I think it's just for that session, but you can kind of see that the 26th click in this cube pre-drop bit, that was by far the hardest part for him for a good while. And then, obviously, there was parts of the wave that were a bit inconsistent. We can gather from this that the level is very inconsistent. This looks like it's very click carried, like there's specific clicks that are just like the clicks of doom here. But overall, I think this is really interesting. You can see he's got a ton of support in chat still. I can't believe he was actually able to do this. It doesn't feel real. I was kind of hoping that he wasn't going to beat it today so that I wouldn't have to make a late video, but here we go, staying up a bit for this. Thanks for watching all the way through. Don't have much more to say on this. Peace.